What do you know about Napoleon Bonaparte? Yes, that's right, even though Napoleon was only in power for more or less 12 years, namely from 1803 to 1815, he had a huge influence in various fields in modern times, such as the military and so on. One example is that Napoleon was the first person to create a corps because Napoleon had a very large army to manage. This time we will discuss the life of Napoleon Bonaparte. Early life. Napoleon Bonaparte was his real name, but he changed it to Napoleon Bonaparte at the age of 20. Born on August 15, 1769 in Corsica and died on May 5, 1821. Although he was famous as a soldier and king of France, Napoleon was actually of Italian descent. Napoleon's father, Carlo Bonaparte, was a minor nobleman in Corsica. A year after Napoleon's birth, Corsica was controlled by France. Napoleon and Pauli's fathers, who were nobles and military in Costa Rica at that time, chose to make peace with France and make Corsica part of France. Napoleon, who was used to using Italian, had to follow in his older brother Joseph's footsteps in learning French in Autun in order to continue his career. But 4 months after that, Napoleon was accepted into the military school Brienne Militaire Academy and immediately left Autun education. Brienne Military Academy is a very strict college. Students there have to study for 6 years, even on holidays they still have assignments. Wow, it turns out it's true that to become a great person there is no easy way. Even Napoleon had to undergo an education as hard as this. It's not surprising that Napoleon became a very influential person. His hard work is very worthy of being an example, friends. Then Napoleon continued his education at the École Militaire in Paris for 1 year, then graduated in 1785. Personality. Napoleon was not a short person. Unlike most stories, Napoleon was actually 170 centimeters tall. This was because the height of most French people at that time was above 170 centimeters. Then the rumor that said that Napoleon was short was because the opponents were very afraid when they heard Napoleon, so rumors about his height were made so that the opposing troops would not be too afraid when facing Napoleon. When he was young, Napoleon was known as a gloomy child. He is a hard worker and prefers to spend time in the library rather than playing. His favorite subjects were history, mathematics, and geography, which he said were very useful for the war. Even his friend Bourrienne acknowledged Napoleon's intelligence in mathematics. But the most important thing is character. Napoleon has a special character compared to most other students, which can make him different and special compared to other students. Career. Brienne Military Academy is a very strict college. Students there have to study for 6 years, even on holidays they still have assignments. Wow, it turns out it's true that to become a great person there is no easy way. Even Napoleon had to undergo an education as hard as this. It's not surprising that Napoleon became a very influential person. His hard work is very worthy of being an example, friends. After graduating from his military education, Napoleon became second lieutenant in the regiment. Then after becoming an important role during the French Revolution, Napoleon's career continued to climb even to the point of becoming Emperor of France. In 1799 Napoleon succeeded in overthrowing the French Directory, which was the name of the French government during the revolutionary stage, which was then replaced by a consulate. The consulate was a government consisting of 3 consuls who served as representatives of the government, and Napoleon at that time became the first consul and held power in the main government, 1799 to 1804. This is what made Napoleon a leading political figure in France. One of the battles that Napoleon won was the Battle of Marengo, 1800, against Napoleon's archenemy, namely Austria, and was able to expel them from Italy. Because of this victory, the French people on December 2, 1804 crowned Napoleon as the first French emperor or the Emperor of France in a luxurious ceremony at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. After Napoleon became emperor, Napoleon enacted the Napoleonic Code Law. This Napoleonic code succeeded in building stability by tidying up the legal system in France. The Napoleonic Code plays a major role as the basis for civil law in France, European and Latin American countries to this day. Apart from being a great and intelligent general who managed to win more than 60 battles, including those included in the Napoleonic Wars or not, 1800 to 1815, where almost all of Europe was almost controlled by Napoleon, he also succeeded in creating the Napoleonic Code. In the Napoleonic Code, Napoleon emphasized the principles of freedom and equality in society. This policy played a role in eliminating slavery even though equality had only just been realized for men at that time. This Napoleonic Code spread very quickly throughout Europe, Latin America, and the Middle East. Then Napoleon realized that the period towards modernizing education was very important. From this, new innovators were born who supported the country. Then Napoleon founded many schools in France which were followed by other countries. The end of success, the end of Napoleon's glory began with his failed invasion of Russia in 1812. It is no longer surprising that many people failed when invading Russia due to Russia's cold climate and weather. By bringing an army of 600,000 into Russia, Napoleon was still unable to win. In fact, only 10,000 remained. Napoleon actually suffered a total defeat. Then Napoleon suffered another defeat against a coalition of Austria, Prussia, Russia, and Sweden in the north, which forced him to surrender and abdicate at the age of 40 in 1814. Napoleon was exiled to Elba by this coalition on an island in the Mediterranean Sea. Then his wife and children went to Austria. But then Napoleon was saved by 1,000 of his people and managed to escape after the Battle of Ligny. However, 2 days after that, France was defeated by England and Prussia in the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon was forced to surrender again and was exiled to the island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic Sea. This is where Napoleon breathed his last breath at the age of 51 in May 1821 due to stomach cancer. Napoleon's achievements and legacy must be recognized by the world, especially his leadership skills, his achievements in legal standardization, economic modernization, and his policies in advancing education. Another strange fact about Napoleon is 1. Desire to kill the French. Even though Napoleon Bonaparte was Emperor of France, he wasn't actually French, you know. Napoleon was Corsican. Located on a small island in the south of France, Corsica was conquered by the French in 1768–69, which was around the same time that Napoleon was born. Napoleon spent his childhood on an island under occupation and eventually supported the Corsican resistance. His letters at that time were full of bloody threats, such as wanting to kill French people. It is believed that Napoleon was very hurt by this colonialism. Biography reveals that Napoleon had a dispute with the Corsican leader, Pasquale Paoli, and finally went to France and no longer wanted to join Paoli, too. Napoleon Bonaparte was a romantic novelist. As the Telegraph details, Napoleon wrote a book called Clisson and Eugenie, a 17-page story about a brave and handsome French military officer who falls in love with a woman named Eugenie. They had a romance, but the officer called Clisson was too committed to fighting and had to leave his lover to fight again. The book was assembled back in 2009 from fragments sold to collectors around the world. 3. Russia was not Napoleon's only military defeat that devastated France. Napoleon's 1812 foray into Russia is a shameful legend. Of the approximately 600,000 people who attacked Moscow, fewer than 100,000 made it back alive. The rest, as history details, died in agony under extreme cold, no food, and the Russian army charging in with cannon fire. Napoleon had been defeated for years by that point. In the Leclerc expedition of 1802, Napoleon sent French troops to retake the rebel colony of Haiti, called Saint-Domingue, and reintroduce slavery. Tens of thousands of French troops sailed to the Caribbean, but were defeated by Toussaint Louverture's slave army, and had to lose the richest colony in France. Apart from losing in land battles, Napoleon's troops also suffered defeat in their navy. The Battle of Trafalgar in 1805 saw Admiral Horatio Nelson completely wipe out the French navy without losing a single British ship. 4. Napoleon invited free Haitian slaves to help him attack America. Thomas Jefferson bought Louisiana from France at a relatively cheap price because Napoleon had already suffered greatly from the loss of his colony in Haiti. As Slade details, the Haitian Revolution was a problem for France as early as 1791. However, in 1802, Haitian leader Toussaint Louverture was still neutral towards France's offer to become part of the French Empire. The decision was complicated by Napoleon's double plan to invite free Haitian slaves to conquer America. However, this offer was rejected. In the end, Napoleon landed troops in Haiti and in Louisiana. Unfortunately, Louverture turned out to be very good at fighting, and the French army that went to Haiti was rendered helpless. Soldiers heading for Louisiana were diverted to aid the army in Haiti, but they too were defeated. Napoleon simply gave up by selling Louisiana to Jefferson. 5. Napoleon is considered a hero in Slovenia. Officially, Napoleon's reputation was not good. In fact, schools in France barely teach the history of Napoleon, writes the Newsweek page. However, there is one country in Europe where almost all the people agree that Napoleon was a Slovenian hero. Slovenia was once part of Yugoslavia and today is famous for having problems with the larger country of Slovakia. In 1809, Napoleon defeated Austria and turned a province of Slovenia, called Carniola, into one of the autonomous Illyrian provinces, making Ljubljana its capital. Under Austria, the Slovene language had been sidelined. When Napoleon arrived, he established local government, allowed the people to speak Slovene, and guaranteed them safety in case Austria wanted to reconquer. Unfortunately, Slovenia/Carniola was reconquered by Austria in 1813, by which time Napoleon had already left the region. However, thanks to Napoleon, the culture of the Slovenian people experienced a revival. Many untold stories surround world historical figures, such as Napoleon Bonaparte, who was only known as a cruel emperor who often conquered. So, which fact did you just learn?